Hi, good morning. Today is 6th of August, Tuesday. This is Tech 2 for 002, who is PM. Everybody knows is Prime Minister, PM is Prime Minister, but this is Property Manager. So the topic today is who is a Property Manager. Actually, I've done another video on this topic earlier on. In fact, earlier on, there is the purpose of distinguishing between the property manager and tenancy administrator. So, as in the Act, there is a change of amendment. There is an amendment that inserted tenancy administration in estate agency practice. So, in the context of the market, in the area where estate agency actually cross over to property management, this little bit of overlapping area is actually called tenancy administration. So now property manager role as in professional practice of property management is now recognized in the Act, the Legal Appraiser, Estate Agent and Property Managers Act 1981 as amended in 2017. So the terminology of property management is now recognized in the law. So who is actually a property manager and who is actually a tenancy administrator or so-called estate agent doing tenancy administration? They are overlapping areas. So this particular video is to give some insight, knowledge on what is doing estate agency work dealing with tenancy administration and what is actually property management, which is a different, entirely different category of profession under the Act. So there is, of course, touching on the amendment to the 1981 Act, Act 242, and I'd like to go in more detail to distinguish between these two so-called profession. So property manager is doing property management. So in the law now, a person who carry out a job of property management need to have a license, a PM license. So to be qualified as a property manager and registered in the register of the property managers under the Act. So then again, who is who? Tenancy administration under the subsection of section 22B, estate agency practice, actually put tenancy administration as one of the functions of the estate agent. So in which area that you can draw a margin between estate agent who does management of the property versus property manager who does the management of a property, entire property. So this is an interesting argument sometimes if you look at the details of the Act. So property management practice from A to I involve quite a fair bit of details. So generally, just to run it quick on this part, the difference between the property management practice and tenancy administration actually come from the understanding that property management is more like a bigger development, whereas tenancy administration is more of a single unit or inside of a single unit of property. So here it says a lot of things like enforcing a lease term, and then preparing budget, and then also monitoring the outgoing, and then advising the landlord or the owner, the sales and purchase, what sort of tenant to get. So these are examples, if you can imagine, in a super mall or a big complex, super mall, whereby the owner, who is probably also a corporation, and then also engaging tenants like anchor tenants, supermarkets, big chains of fast food chain. These are tenants that they are sourcing of brands that can come in to populate the big building. So therefore, the property manager's job, in fact, is to manage the building to the requirement of all these big brand tenants. So there is a lot of technical things that each and every tenant may need to comply, especially like restaurant and all those things. They have their own individual requirements. So for the property manager, their job is in fact more technical than just tenancy administration. And although the idea of managing the property is to enhance its value, to increase its rental value, property manager's job is more of compliance also to safety and also fire requirement, bomba requirement, or the bylaw requirement. So these are part of the job that affects the public and also affects the bigger crowd of public moving along the big scale development rather than just affecting the each and maybe one or two individual tenant, which is the part of the tenancy administration. So this is a big difference between property management and tenancy administration. Another part that is also a different is issues of engaging with different property requirement by tenants, by big anchor tenants, that they are upgrading the property is required sometimes to fit into the requirement of the chief tenant or the anchor tenant. Managing and maintaining the building facility attached to building for requirement of the tenant, and then of course compliance to the law. So property management practice as in 22I, in fact, talks a lot. So basically, big scale, I think items, common property involved, common area also involved. It's a job of property management. And then in the traditional way, these are done by, a lot of it is done by experts in the field, individual field, like lifts and escalators will be serviced by some expert service providers, and then the area of plumbing may be done by another expert plumber. So these are things that property management need to coordinate, and they are in the job for the ability to get things done and in emergency respond to the emergency requirements. Whereas if you look at tenancy administration, it's more of, well, Section 22B, if you recall, Section 22B talks about A to E. What are A to E? So A is sales and purchase, B is renting and letting, leasing, and then C is representing the buyer or the tenant. So estate agent can represent the seller or the landlord and also represent the buyer or tenant. So C is representing the purchaser or the tenant, and then D is making known. So if you remember, making known means advertising to public. So estate agency practice terminology in Section 22B is holding out to public, and then making a commission for the job. And then inserted in 2017 22B 1A Part E, which is the part on tenancy administration. So inserted in 2017, this particular subsection in respect of any tenancy administration include rental collection, payment of outgoings, arrangement for minor repairs, handing over and taking over the possession of property for any land and buildings and of any interest in. So it's actually quite a common thing that estate agents are doing every day. That's why estate agents are already involved in some sort of cross overlapping area of property management in a smaller scale. So it's like you take over your property because the tenant move out, and then later you saw some damages that you need to make repairs because the landlord is not around, so you help the landlord to organize the repairs, and then you charge to the landlord, and then the bills that is left by previous tenant did not pay electricity bill, did not pay water bill, then you go to help the landlord to pay all those bills. So you collect rental from another new tenant, then this new tenant moving in need to make cleaning up of the house. So you arrange for cleaning up, and then later the landlord say, well, you just deduct from my rental deposit. So this is actually part of the job of the estate agent. It's just that estate agent in the sense, in traditional way, do not charge a fee for this. Now in tenancy administration, it is clear these are job of tenants management, and it is under estate agency practice, something which we can do without having to worry about, then the property manager may say, oh, you are encroaching into my field of expertise. You are overlapping area, you are not supposed to do all this because it's my job, the property manager would say that. And then now, in these two situations, if this to happen, then you involve arrangement with the, let's say, parking lot, arrangement with the management committee, or arrangement with the management corporation of the landowners condominium, then therefore you are engaging with the property manager. So in such scenario, the property manager is employed by the management corporation to run the condominium, and you are an estate agent representing your parcel owner to negotiate for better deal for maybe the tenant who is moving in between the tenancy agreement with the landlord. So that means you interact with the management committee appointed property manager to get things sorted out for the new tenant. So that part, the property manager say, okay, your car park is this, and then we have to make sure your access card to the car park is activated. So that part is the job of the property manager, and then you are liaising with the property manager for the access card to the car park. Yeah. So you are not supposed to handle the car park. Of course, the car park is part of the common area, and then it is part of the job of the property manager to make sure the car park is open and safe and clean. So the section also talks about land and buildings of interest or concern of handing over and taking over the possession of the property. So for house that is currently vacated, you need to go in and see whether the room are open up or not. There is any room that is still locked, and sometimes even be things inside which is concern of the landlord. And then section also involve situation like minor repair. So if there is a leaking inside the house, then you monitor the repair with the contractor, engage contractor. But if the leaking is outside in a common area, then of course it's part of the job of the property manager. So you need to report the leaking and then handle the leaking issue with the property manager. Standard 10 is inserted into the Malaysian Estate Agency Standard 2018, which is a new standard. So this new standard gives a more detailed list out of the jobs of estate agent in tenancy administration. So this I don't want to go through. Generally is the repeat of what I said just now. And then the part that is important is 1.3, so 10.1.3. So this part says that actually the tenancy administration is not for the entire development complex of buildings with multiple tenants. So it means that if you are handling an entire building or entire complex with multiple tenants, then it is not tenancy administration. And then you do not handle the common area as I mentioned just now. So if you're a tenancy administrator or estate agent doing tenancy administration, overstep the boundary to in fact represent the developer or represent the management corporation to manage the whole area, including a common area, then he needs to have the property manager's license. So of course, a lot of estate agents, agency firms has the property manager's license. So of course, they can also do property management job. Right, just capture on the part on who is allowed to practice property managing of property without having to be a property manager. So this also is similar to the exception in the case of estate agency practice. So a case where owner wants to sell or want to rent out his own house, he can do it himself without having to engage estate agent. Similarly, if an owner wants to manage and so-called operate his own cleaning or his own management of his own property, he doesn't really need a property manager. So this type of scenario is like exceptions in the case of estate agency where owners can do the selling and renting himself. So here I don't want to go to too much detail, but generally just to mention that uh, owners are allowed to do property management, and also owners can be also a corporation. So if a company or Sdn Bhd owns a building, then the Sdn Bhd itself can actually operate the whole building. So if your Sdn Bhd is a hotel, then if the hotel were to own the building, then the hotel can manage its own property without having to engage a property manager. So this is a classical example. So I like to conclude the property management is now regulated. That means you do not have a license of property managers, then you cannot be acting as a property management company for a strata building or for a big complex. Tenancy administration is part of estate agency practice, as I mentioned just now. If you are helping your landlord doing management of his interior or internal of the property, then you are doing tenancy administration. Better lights of understanding the differences, because we were giving examples on what is tenancy administration and what is property management just now. So generally, the conclusion is if tenancy administration is involved in the interior or internal part of the building, property management is more like internal as well as external. That means if you are a property manager for a shopping mall, you handle everything about the shopping mall, which includes helping the tenant inside and also outside the building. So building means, let's say corridor, car parks, and all those area where customer come, to a supermarket. Whereas if you are a tenant administrator, that means you only help the inside of the area which is rented to this particular tenant. What are not included in the property management practice? These are like just now we said, you do not need to be a property manager if you are an owner. Similarly, is also true for estate agency practice. If you are owner, then you can sell and deal on your own without having to engage a engage an estate agent. Thank you so much. Hope that you can learn something from today's presentation. I'm contactable at this number display, and there are other websites that you may find valuable information for your own knowledge. Thank you.